Welcome to this explosive breakdown of one of the most talked about moments in late-night television history. Samuel L. Jackson walking off Bill Maher's show after a heated argument that left audiences stunned and social media ablaze. Imagine the scene. It's a typical Friday night taping of Real Time with Bill Maher, the air thick with the scent of polished studio lights and the faint aroma of overpriced craft services. Bill Maher, the sharp-tongued host known for his unfiltered takes on politics, culture, and everything in between, is settling into his chair, that signature smirk playing on his lips as if he's already plotting his next zinger. The audience, a mix of liberal elites, conservative contrarians, and curious independents, buzzes with anticipation, their laughter primed like a loaded gun. Enter Samuel L. Jackson, the iconic actor whose voice alone could command a room, striding onto the set with the confidence of a man who's stared down Thanos and lived to tell the tale. Dressed in a crisp button-down shirt that hugs his broad shoulders, Jackson flashes that megawatt smile, shaking hands with Maher and exchanging pleasantries that mask the storm about to brew. The panel is stacked tonight as there's a fiery congresswoman from the progressive wing, a no-nonsense journalist who's just dropped a bombshell book on media bias, and a comedian who's equal parts hilarious and heretical. As the band strikes up the theme, Maher kicks off with his monologue, a rapid-fire assault on the week's headlines, the latest presidential gaffe, a celebrity scandal involving a leaked text message, and a dive into the absurdity of cancel culture run amok. The crowd eats it up, applauding at the punchlines, groaning at the edgier bits, but Jackson sits quietly, his eyes sharp, absorbing every word like a predator sizing up its territory. Little do they know, this isn't just another guest spot, it's a collision of titans, where Hollywood swagger meets political provocation, and the fallout will echo far beyond the studio walls. As the applause dies down, Maher turns to Jackson with a glint in his eye, the one that says, "I've got you now." "Sam, great to have you back," he begins, leaning forward conspiratorially. "You've been in the game longer than Master Pulp Fiction, Shaft, the MCU behemoth. What's it like watching Hollywood bend to the woke mob?" Jackson chuckles, low and rumbling, like thunder on the horizon. "Bill, Hollywood's always been bending it to money, to trends, to whatever keeps the checks clearing. But let's not pretend it's new, it's just got a new name now." The audience titters, sensing the undercurrent, but Maher presses on, undeterred. "Come on, Sam, you've called out the industry yourself. I remember that time you roasted the Oscars for ignoring black talent, but now, with quotas everywhere, isn't it just reverse discrimination?" Jackson's smile fades just a fraction, his posture shifting ever so slightly. "That's a buzzword for folks scared of sharing the table. I've earned my seat, Bill, through sweat, scripts, and saying motherfucker on screen when no one else would. Quotas don't build careers, talent does." The panel jumps in as the congresswoman nods vigorously, the journalist scribbles notes, the comedian cracks a joke about affirmative action for bad scripts, but Maher, ever the provocateur, doubles down. "Talent, sure, but let's talk specifics. Your role in The Hitman's Bodyguard, a fun flick, but was that casting pure merit, or did they need a black co-lead to tick the box?" The studio goes quiet, the kind of quiet that sucks the air out of the room. Jackson's eyes narrow, his famous baritone dropping an octave. "Bill, you really going there? I've carried films on my back while folks like you nitpick the color of my skin instead of the quality of my work." The argument simmers, bubbling under the surface as they pivot to lighter fare. Jackson's latest project, a gritty thriller about racial injustice in the justice system, draws laughs and applause, but the tension lingers, a live wire humming just beneath the banter. As the segment rolls on, Maher circles back, his questions laced with that Maher-esque blend of humor and heresy. "Sam, you're a free speech warrior. Hell, you narrated that anti-gun PSA but still pack heat in your roles. Hypocrite or Hollywood?" Jackson fires back without missing a beat. "Free speech means saying what needs saying, Bill, and not cherry-picking to score points. I've lost friends to bullets, I know the cost. You wanna talk hypocrisy? Look at a comedian who jokes about tragedy but cries foul when the joke's on him." The audience erupts, a half cheers, half gasps, and the panel devolves into cross-talk, voices overlapping like a dysfunctional family dinner. The congresswoman accuses Maher of dog whistling, The journalist fact-checks on the fly, and the comedian tries to defuse with a self-deprecating bit about his own failed attempts at wokeness. Through it all, Jackson remains the eye of the storm, his presence commanding, his words measured but laced with steel. As the commercial break looms, Maher attempts to rap with a quip. "Well, Sam, if Hollywood's so broken, why not quit and run for office? You'd have my vote." Mostly, Jackson stands, not abruptly, but with purpose, his chair scraping against the floor like a gauntlet thrown. "Bill, I'd rather walk off this set than sit through another round of your gotcha games." The words hang in the air, and just like that, the legend makes his exit, leaving behind a stunned host, a polarized panel, and an audience that's about to flood the internet with hot takes. This wasn't just a walk-off, it was a masterclass in boundaries, a reminder that even icons have limits, and in the cutthroat world of talk TV, sometimes the real drama is the one that hits too close to home. But hold on, folks, this is just the spark. The firestorm is yet to come. Picking up from that jaw-dropping exit, the studio lights dim for the break, but the real show is just getting started off camera, where whispers turn to shouts and producers scramble like ants on a hot plate. Bill Maher, usually unflappable, wipes his brow with a handkerchief, muttering to his team about damage control while glancing at the empty chair where Jackson sat moments ago. The panelists huddle. The congresswoman is on her phone, live-tweeting the chaos with hashtags like #MarMissed and #StandWithSam, her followers skyrocketing as the clip leaks faster than a White House scandal. The journalist, ever the opportunist, is already outlining her next op-ed, when provocation meets principle. Jackson's bold stand, and the comedian, he's doubled over in genuine laughter, texting his agent, "Book me on everything, this is gold." Back in the green room, Samuel L. Jackson paces like a caged panther, his manager hovering with a bottle of water and a tablet streaming the early reactions. "Sam, you okay?" "That was intense," she says, but Jackson waves her off, his mind replaying the exchange. The subtle digs, the loaded laughs, the way Maher's eyes lit up at the first sign of pushback. He's no stranger to controversy, from his profane outbursts at award shows to his unapologetic advocacy for voting rights. Jackson's built a brand on authenticity, the kind that doesn't bend for ratings or retweets. But this felt personal. A veteran host testing the waters of respect with a man who's outlasted trends and tempests alike. As the break ends, the band cues up, and Maher returns to the desk, his monologue interrupted by the elephant in the room. "Folks, before we continue, let's address the Sam Jackson situation," he says, that wry smile cracking just a bit. "Look, I push buttons, it's my job." Sam's a legend. If he can't take a joke, who can? The audience response is mixed. Claps from the back, boos from the front, and the panel dives in, turning the show into an impromptu therapy session. The congresswoman doesn't hold back. "Bill, that wasn't a joke, it was a jab at a black man's legitimacy in an industry that kept him for decades." "You wouldn't say that to a white co-star." Maher counters with his classic deflection, "Oh, please, I've roasted everyone from Trump to Tarantino. Equality means equal opportunity to get burned." The journalist chimes in with data. "Actually, studies show black actors face 40% more scrutiny on casting than their white counterparts. Your joke perpetuates that." And the comedian, sensing the pivot, adds, "Hey, if Sam walked off, maybe he's just prepping for his next role." The ghost of interviews past. Laughter ripples, but it's uneasy, the kind that masks discomfort. Meanwhile, outside the bubble of HBO's Burbank studio, the world is exploding. Twitter is a battlefield, with #Jackson walks off trending worldwide. Memes of Jackson's Pulp Fiction glare superimposed over Maher's shocked face going viral at 1 million shares an hour. Celebrities weigh in. Denzel Washington tweets a simple "Respect the King," while Tarantino, ever the cinephile, posts a clip from Jackie Brown with the caption "Say what?" Even non-Hollywood types jump aboard. Activists decry Maher's subtle racism, conservatives cheer the takedown of woke Hollywood, and everyday fans debate in comment sections that stretch into the thousands. News outlets scramble. CNN runs a ticker breaking, "Jackson storms out on Maher." Fox News spins it as actor's meltdown exposes liberal hypocrisy. and the New York Times pens a think piece on the fragility of free speech in the age of outrage. Back on set, as the discussion heats up, Maher steers toward safer waters, pivoting to the Congresswoman's latest bill on voting access. Speaking of pushback, Congresswoman, how's that fight going against voter ID laws? She launches into her pitch, passionate and precise, but the energy's off. Every laugh lands flat, every applause feels forced. The audience shifts in their seats, some checking phones under the desk, live streaming the meta-drama. Cut to Jackson, now in his chauffeured SUV en route to Lax, scrolling through the frenzy. His phone buzzes non-stop, Oprah calls to commiserate, Spike Lee texts a fist emoji, and his wife, LaTanya, leaves a voicemail that's equal parts proud and worried. Babe, you did you with It's Why I Love You, but call me when you land. He smiles, the adrenaline ebbing into resolve. This isn't his first rodeo. Back in the 90s, he walked away from roles that whitewashed his edge, and in the 2000s, he called out the Academy's blind spots louder than anyone. Walking off Maher's show, it's not defeat, it's declaration, a line in the sand for respect in an industry that often confuses familiarity with license. As the episode wraps, Maher signs off with a half-hearted plug for Jackson's upcoming film, The Reckoning, a timely drama about a detective unraveling corporate corruption. Catch Sam in theaters if he doesn't walk off the screen too. Cue canned laughter, fade to black. But the night's far from over. Post-show parties at Spago buzz with whispers, agents fielding calls from producers who want the untold side, and Maher himself retreats to a cigar lounge, pondering if the joke's finally on him. In the grand tapestry of celebrity clashes, this one threads deeper, weaving questions of race, power, and the price of candor into the cultural conversation. And as Jackson boards his flight, staring out at the glittering LA skyline, he knows one thing for sure, the real script is still being written, one bold step at a time. Fast forward to the morning after, when the sun rises on a Hollywood hungover from the hype, coffee cups steaming as pundits dissect the dissection on every cable channel from here to eternity. Samuel L. Jackson wakes in his Atlanta home, far from the LA glare to the gentle hum of birdsong and the insistent ping of notifications that could wake the dead. He stretches, muscles still taut from yesterday's tension, and pours a cup of black coffee strong enough to strip paint, settling into his study lined with scripts, awards, and framed photos of marches he never forgot. The TV flickers onto Good Morning America, where anchors in crisp suits replay the clip on loop. Jackson's chair scrape, his parting shot, Maher's awkward recovery. Is this the end of civil discourse? One host asks, while the other nods sagely. Jackson smirks. A civil discourse? In America? That's like asking for quiet at a rock concert. His phone rings. It's his publicist, voice a whirlwind of updates. Sam, we've got offers rolling. Ina interviews with 60 Minutes, a spot on The Daily Show, even a podcast with Joe Rogan. And backlash, some trolls calling you cancelled, but your fans, they're legion. He laughs, deep and genuine. Let him talk. I've been cancelled since I said fucking Forrest Gump. Hanging up, he scrolls X himself, chuckling at fan art of him as Nick Fury ejecting Maher from the Avengers. But beneath the humor, there's a well of reflection. This walk-off isn't isolated. It's the culmination of years navigating a town that loves black talent on screen but questions it off. From his early days in Yale drama, where he battled addiction and doubt, to breakout roles that typecast as much as they liberated, Jackson's path is paved with no's turned to yeses through sheer will. And Maher, the host who's built an empire on edginess, from politically incorrect's 9/11 fallout to real-time's endless Trump takedowns, now faces a mirror he didn't ask for. Cut to Maher's Malibu pad, where he sips espresso on a deck overlooking the Pacific, script notes scattered like fallen leaves. His producer calls, Bill, ratings are through the roof, up 40% from last week, but HBO's nervous they're talking optics. Maher snorts. Optics? Since when do we care? This is real talk. Yet, as he watches the clip again, doubt creeps in. Was it the D-line, or the bodyguard quip? He's roasted black guests before. Chris Rock, Dave Chappelle, and walked away unscathed. But Jackson's different, not just a comic, but a cultural colossus, his gravitas turning jest to jab. By midday, statements drop, Jackson's team issues a measured release. Sam values open dialogue but draws the line at disrespect, while Maher's camp fires back with all in good fun, no hard feelings. The internet, predictably, ignites. Reddit threads spiral into manifestos, TikTok stitches remix the argument with dramatic music, and Instagram influencers weigh in with IGTV essays that track up millions of views. One viral post from a young black creator goes mega. Jackson didn't walk off, he walked toward dignity. Maher's the one chasing clout. Echoes ripple through black Twitter, a chorus of solidarity from Taraji P. Henson to Michael B. Jordan, while white allies like Seth Rogen tweet apologies for the industry's blind spots. But not everyone's on board, as some outlets frame it as oversensitivity. Headlines screaming Jackson's tantrum tanks talk TV, pundits pile on MSNBC. Joy Reid calls it "be quiet" fragility masked as humor on Fox. Greg Gutfeld mocks the snowflake star storms out. The divide deepens, mirroring America's fault lines, where a single exchange becomes a Rorschach test for biases unacknowledged. Jackson, opting for silence, heads to the golf course, his sanctuary, where birdies beefs a swinging clubs with buddies who rib him gently. "Man, you made Bill look like that uncle at Thanksgiving who won't shut up," he grins. Sometimes, family needs a timeout. Afternoon brings a surprise, a call from Whoopi Goldberg, fresh off her own View antics. "Sam, honey, you handled it with class. Remember, legends don't crumble, they carve." Inspired, he agrees to a sit-down, not with rivals, but reformers, a panel with NAACP leaders on media representation. Meanwhile, Maher preps for next week's taping, tweaking jokes, testing waters with his writers. No sacred cows, he insists, but they push back. "Bill, Sam's no cow, he's the bull." The Concession, a segment on comedy's Color Line, inviting black voices unfiltered. As evening falls, Jackson unwinds with LaTanya, cooking gumbo while dissecting the day. "Think it'll change anything?" she asks. He stirs the pot. "Change starts with the walk, not the talk." Across tone or country, the conversation evolves, from barbershop banter to boardroom briefs, proving one man's exit can echo like a manifesto. In this moment, Jackson isn't just an actor, he's an activist in repose. His stride off stage as powerful as any on-screen soliloquy. And as stars prick the sky, the debate rages on, a testament to the enduring dance between provocation and principle in our fractured spotlight. Weeks later, the dust settles into a new normal, but the ripples from Jackson's walk-off lap at the shores of Hollywood's vast ocean, reshaping alliances and agendas in ways both subtle and seismic. Samuel L. Jackson, ever the forward marcher, channels the energy into his next chapter, promoting The Reckoning, a film that's less blockbuster spectacle and more mirror to society's sores, a tale of a rogue cop, played by Jackson, exposing systemic rot in a precinct trodden to the core. Press junkets buzz with the unspoken reporters tiptoe around the Maher mention, but Jackson addresses it head-on in a Variety interview. His words a scalpel: "I didn't walk to run, I walked to reset the room." Conversations only real when respect's on the table. The response? Box office gold. As the movie opens to rave reviews, critics praising Jackson's ferocious nuance, audiences flocking for the catharsis. At premieres, he's mobbed, not just by fans, but filmmakers hungry for his take. How do we write roles that honor without tokenizing? He mentors on the spot, dropping gems from his playbook, lessons from Sidney Poitier on dignity, from Ossie Davis on defiance. Back at Real Time, Bill Maher navigates a post-Jackson landscape, his monologues sharper but self-aware, a nod here to punching up, not across. Ratings hold steady, buoyed by the buzz, but the guest list evolves. More diverse voices, fewer drive-bys. He books Ta-Nehisi Coates for a deep dive on race and rhetoric. The interview hailed as Maher's mea culpa without the apology. Coates presses, "Humor's a tool, Bill, but intent matters." When the punchline lands on Payne, who's laughing last, Maher licenza emerging with a rare vulnerability that humanizes the host. The panel that night, a mix of reconciliation. The same Congresswoman returns, tensions thawed into teamwork, co-authoring a bit on bipartisan banter. Off-air, bridges mend quietly. A Jackson and Maher exchange texts, a gruff "no beef, just better next time from the actor. A witty drinks on me your tab from the comic. It's not kumbaya, but it's progress, the kind forged in friction. Broader waves crash too. Studios greenlight scripts with authentic black leads. Sans quote has a merit magnified by mandate. The Oscars whisper of reforms. Jackson's name floated for a lifetime nod, not pity, but prowess. Social media, that fickle beast, moves on to fresher feuds, but the memes linger. A cultural codex for kids studying celeb clashes. In academia, theses sprout. From walk-off to wake-up, Jackson's intervention in late-night discourse. Everyday folk absorb it osmosis. Styly bar talks turn thoughtful. Water cooler chats cite the clip as shorthand for know when to bounce. Jackson, jitting between sets, savors the shift at a NAACP gala. He toasts to exits that entrance, drawing cheers that shake the chandeliers. LaTanya beams beside him, their 40-plus years a quiet anchor amid the acclaim. Maher, at his own roast, self-deprecates. I pushed Sam too far. Next time, I'll let him push back with a lightsaber. Laughter lands true, healing the rift one rib at a time. Yet, undercurrents persist. Critics decry performative allyship. Trolls troll on, but Jackson stays steady, his gospel simple. Art imitates life. Make yours worth the script. As fall turns to awards season, the reckoning racks nominations. Jackson's speech at the Globes a mic drop moment. This isn't about me, it's about us. Seeing stories that sting because they heal. The room rises, Maher in the crowd, clapping with the rest. In quiet aftermaths, lessons embed. Respect isn't optional, dialogue demands depth, and sometimes, the bravest scene is the one you ad-lib off script. Hollywood, that eternal reinvention machine, spins anew, wiser for the wear, with Jackson's stride as its spirited spark. And in living rooms nationwide, families pause remotes, discussing over dinner, what would you walk away from? The answer, whatever erodes the soul. Thus, from one heated hour springs a harvest of heart, proving television's true power lies not in the fight, but the follow-through. The art of arguing better, loving louder, and walking taller together.